Welcome to The Explainer. You know, what if a machine could do more than just see the world? What if it could actually dream it up? Today, we are breaking down a paper from 2014 that completely unlocked the creative potential of AI, basically teaching computers how to imagine. This is the story of generative adversarial nets. So, get a load of this image. It's not a real photograph. Nope, it's more like a digital ghost, a face that was literally conjured out of pure data by a machine back in 2014. And this one, single, kind of blurry image, it makes you ask a pretty profound question, right? Can a machine, something built on pure logic and code, actually learn the art of imagination? To really get why this idea was so brilliant, we have to rewind a bit and understand the problem it was trying to solve. See, before 2014, teaching an AI to create something new was, well, it was like trying to teach a rock to paint. The whole field of generative AI was just stuck.
I mean, imagine someone told you to build a car, but all they gave you was a pile of sand and a spoon. That's pretty much what it was like for AI researchers trying to get a computer to generate a realistic image. They were just buried under this mountain of incredibly complex math, and the results? They were usually just noise.
Yeah, the old ways of doing things were painfully slow and inefficient. Think of it like a painter who can only add one tiny single dot of color at a time, and they have to follow this super strict set of rules for every single dot. That process was just way too rigid to create anything that looked real. And worse, it couldn't use the real engine of modern AI, backpropagation, which is this powerful way for a network to learn from its mistakes super fast. The field was desperate for something new.
And you know what? That breakthrough didn't come from even more complex math. Instead, it came from a brilliant, kind of playful reframing of the whole problem. What if creating wasn't a calculation at all? What if it was a competition, a game of deception?
The authors of the paper give us this amazing analogy. Picture a game of cat and mouse. On one side, you've got a team of counterfeiters, right? They're trying to print fake money that looks so good it can pass for the real deal. And on the other side, you've got the police, who are constantly training, constantly getting better at spotting even the tiniest flaw in those fakes.
And this elegant competitive framework is the absolute core of what they called a generative adversarial network, or as we all know it, a GAN. It's not just one AI model, it's two, and they're locked in this epic battle of wits, forcing each other to get smarter and smarter.
So let's meet the players in this game. First up, we have the generator. You can think of it as the forger, or the artist. It starts with just a canvas of random static and tries to paint a masterpiece that looks totally real. Its one and only mission is to trick the discriminator. And then you have the discriminator. This is our detective, the critic. It gets shown a mix of real art and the generator's forgeries, and its job is simple: tell them apart.
Okay, so here's how the game actually plays out. The generator makes a bunch of fakes. The discriminator takes a look at them, compares them to real examples, and calls out the fakes. Now, at first, they're both going to be terrible at their jobs, but with every single round, they get feedback. The discriminator learns what it got wrong, getting better at spotting fakes, and this is the magic part, the generator learns why its fakes got caught, and it uses that information to make its next batch even better.
In technical terms, this is what's called a minimax game. It sounds complicated, but it's really just a digital tug-of-war. The generator is trying to minimize the discriminator's chance of success, while the discriminator is trying to maximize it. They are in this constant battle of one-upmanship, both pulling as hard as they can.
And the end game here is just beautiful. This competition goes on, with both networks getting smarter and smarter until the forger becomes so good that the detective is basically just guessing. It can't tell the difference anymore. Its accuracy is down to 50-50, and at that exact moment, that point of perfect balance, you know the generator has truly learned the underlying patterns of reality. It has learned to create.
So, that's an incredibly elegant theory, right? But the million-dollar question is always, did it actually work? Did this little game between a digital artist and a digital critic produce anything that was actually meaningful?
Well, the very first test was on a pretty simple task: generating handwritten numbers. Now, these might not look like much to us today, but you have to remember, this was 2014. This was absolutely revolutionary. For the first time, a machine was creating something genuinely new, not just rearranging pixels it had seen before. It was like the first real glimpse into an AI's imagination.
But hang on a second, this is the most critical question you have to ask about any generative model. Is the AI truly creating something new, or is it just a glorified photocopier?
I mean, if it's just memorizing, then it hasn't really learned to imagine anything at all, has it? And that's a fair question, but the paper gives us some pretty compelling evidence. Take a look here. On one side, you have an image the AI generated from scratch, and right next to it is the closest possible match from the actual data it trained on. You can see they're similar, but they are definitely not identical. This was the proof. It wasn't a copy machine. It was an artist blending what it had learned to create something brand new.
And get this, it didn't stop with simple digits. The team then took the exact same setup and trained it on a database of human faces. And the results were these. Yeah, they're fuzzy, maybe a little bit creepy, but they are unmistakably faces. This proved the whole framework was flexible. It could learn the incredibly complex and subtle patterns that make up a human face.
As you can probably guess, this clever idea didn't just stay in the lab. It sparked a full-blown revolution. GANs weren't just a new tool. They were a completely new mindset, a new way to think about the challenge of machine creativity. And you can really see why when you put GANs side by side with the old ways of doing things. Training went from this slow, painful process to just using standard backpropagation. Creating a new image went from a complex chain of events to a simple forward pass. The flexibility was just night and day. It was like going from a horse-drawn carriage straight to a sports car. The advantages were just huge. By completely sidestepping all that messy math, GANs were way faster, and they plugged right into the rest of the deep learning world. They produced sharper images, and because the generator never actually sees the real data, remember, it only learns from the critic's feedback, it's way less likely to just cheat and copy what it's seen before.
But like any truly great scientific paper, this one didn't just present a perfect solution. It also looked ahead and acknowledged the challenges that were still out there. The authors were really clear that this was just page one of a whole new chapter for creative AI. They pointed out one major catch. This game between the generator and the discriminator, it's a really delicate dance. If one of the players gets too good too quickly, the whole system can just break. For example, if the generator stumbles upon one fake image that always fools the discriminator, it might just start producing that same image over and over again. That's a problem we now call mode collapse.
But what's so amazing is that the paper finished by basically laying out the homework for the entire AI field for the next decade. They suggested all these incredible extensions like conditional GANs, where you could actually ask the model to generate a specific thing, a cat or a car. Pretty much every one of these bullet points has since blossomed into its own massive field of AI research, and it all started right here.
So, from a simple game of cat and mouse, a whole new era of creative AI was born. All the incredible art, faces, and voices that we see AI generating today, they all owe a little something to this one elegant idea. It's just a powerful reminder that sometimes the biggest leaps forward come from just changing your perspective. And it leaves us with a really exciting question. If a game of deception was the key to unlocking AI imagination, what simple, elegant idea will we unlock next?